Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here for the first time, then welcome for the first time. In today's video, we're going to be discussing some of the things that hinder success. Number one, procrastination. Now, it's sort of ironic that I have this because I'm not really ironic, sort of appropriate that I have this because I procrastinated at making this video. And I think there are several reasons why I might procrastinate or why people in general might procrastinate. Is that first of all, I think we are afraid to leave our comfort zones. If sometimes we don't want to do something because we're afraid because doing whatever we need to do means leaving our comfort zone. And when I say comfort zone, I mean we could be on social media, we could be on the couch watching TV, or anything of those sorts of activities that don't require much energy. Like anything that doesn't require much energy, I think we get sort of stuck, and it's hard to leave that zone. I'm not sure even comfort zone's the right word. I think it's like sort of that lazy zone. I don't think that's a real term, but lazy zone that we can't really leave. The second reason why I might procrastinate is because of the project that I'm working on, or whatever, or the tasks I need to do might seem overwhelming, and instead of just going into tasks heading into tasks straight away so we can tackle it head on, that's what I was trying to say, so we can tackle the task straight on. You sort of you procrastinate. And what the problem is that task over time, like the amount of time you have left to do that, especially if we're talking about something that has a deadline, that becomes a bit more serious, where we procrastinate, and so what we need to do becomes even more overwhelming because we have less time to do it. So that's a big reason why we might procrastinate, even though the reason why we procrastinate is also the reason why we really shouldn't procrastinate, if that makes sense. The third reason why we procrastinate is that I tend to forget what tasks we need to do. For example, just before I made this video, I went downstairs to make myself a cup of tea. But when I went downstairs, I forgot why I went downstairs. And I think that actually sort of goes back to overwhelm, even though like making yourself a cup of tea, that's like a basic thing to do for most people. But I honestly just forgot. And I think that sort of like applies. I think making a cup of tea can be used as sort of an allegory for other things, like you sort of forget what you need to do, or you forget the steps. And again, I think that goes back to overwhelm. So just if I use an example of, say, like my nighttime routine, skincare, or whatever it is, my skincare nighttime routine, I might forget the steps I need to do, even though I do it every day. I sometimes forget what needs to be done, and what happens, and I guess this is like the fourth reason for procrastination, is that I get distracted. And I think this is the main reason that I get distracted, and therefore I don't actually take the next step, or I don't immediately take the next step of what I need to do. Procrastination impacts success in a negative way, because if we're procrastinating, it means we're not getting things done, and if we're not getting things done, then we're not moving on to the next step, and if we're not moving on to the next step, then we can't really reach our goals. So even though procrastination is obviously something that a lot of people struggle with, I definitely struggle with it. It means that we can't move on. And also, when it comes to things, as I mentioned before, when it comes to deadlines, if we've got something that's building up, and we're basically giving ourselves more work to do in a shorter period of time, it just becomes overwhelming, and then that overwhelming leads to more procrastination. So I think procrastination becomes like a vicious cycle. When it comes to finding a way to counter procrastination, I'm not really there yet. I still struggle with procrastination. I guess one of the ways I deal with procrastination is I set myself a timer and I try to get whatever task I'm working on. I try to, if it's something, just for example, doing my nighttime routine, I take a really, really long time to do my nighttime routine, like a ridiculously long time to do my like skincare and brushing my teeth and all that sort of thing. And it's not because it necessarily takes me a long time. It's because I like all the things we talk about it. Like I think it's because if I find a task to be boring, I will procrastinate. But what I'm doing is that I'll set myself a timer and see how fast I can do it. Now, unfortunately, this method hasn't really been effective at the moment. So I don't really have at the time of making this video, I do not have an effective countermeasure to procrastination. Let me know what you think below, because I don't know how to stop procrastinating. It's still a big problem for me. I think one of the things I could do is to write down what I need to do, or write down a list of steps I need to go through. That could work. And I also think if I applied a timer, I think the timer. So to stop, like when someone's doing a marathon and they run, and they have like someone timing how fast it takes them to do like a lap or whatever it is. That's what I do, but instead of doing it with running, I do it with like brushing my teeth. I should also do it with running, but I should time I should time myself, but I think if I used timing myself can be effective, but I think I need some more tools. So I think if I write things down in steps, that would be okay. But then the problem is, I'm procrastinating on doing that. So I'm procrastinating on planning, procrastinating on organizing, so I don't procrastinate. So you see how it becomes sort of this vicious cycle that's really hard to get out of. And I know there's lots of videos on YouTube about procrastination, but I tend to procrastinate on watching those. So if any of you have any advice of procrastination, if procrastination is something you struggle with, or you used to struggle with it but you grew out of it, let me know what you think. Just on a point, and I do actually want to make a full video about procrastination, but I just wanted to briefly discuss it here as part of one of the factors that hinders success. But if you have any ideas or any tips and tricks to cut down on procrastination, please let me know below. Not just for me, but for other people who are struggling with procrastination. Number 2, not having a plan. So I definitely consider myself someone who's behind in life. I feel like someone who's like late to the party, or I haven't even really, haven't even arrived at the party, let alone be late to the party. And I do want to make a sort of a more in-depth video about that, but I feel like it might be a little bit depressing, so I don't want to make a depressing video for episode 2 of this new series. So I'll just say here that I do feel very behind in life. I feel like 10 years behind everyone else. But one of the reasons why I am in the situation I am is that I did not make plans when I was younger, which I should have, and we all need to do that. We all need to be making plans, and some people might be like, I just want to go with the flow. You know what? And that might work out for some people, but for me, I really needed a life plan. And I should have done a life plan. I know that sounds a bit ridiculous, but for me, I should have planned at least the next 5 years out. Because what happens is one, you don't, you can, as we were just talking about procrastination, I think not having a plan can definitely lead to procrastination, which, leads to just more procrastination and a lack of success. But I also think not having a plan means not having a sense of direction about where you should be going in life. And yeah, so there's that. I think it's important to keep in mind that what I'm talking about not only just applies on a macro level, so a macro level being like these 5-year plans or 10, or just even like a 1-year plan will probably be on a macro level, but I'm also talking about something that might take a few days, or heck, even like less than an hour. For example, I didn't plan this video, and now I did that intentionally because I prefer for this video to be a stream of consciousness rather than something that was scripted. And no offense to anyone who does their video scripted, I think that is good planning and good organization. But for me personally, I didn't really want to do that. But there are consequences of doing that in the fact that I don't really know how this video is going to turn out. I don't know how, because I didn't plan and develop a script, it becomes very rambly, and I start to use a lot of word salad and stuff like that. And again, see, right now, I don't know because I didn't plan, I don't know what I'm going to talk about next. So I'm probably going to have to press the pause button and come back. If we were to talk about not having plan in the context of a novel, then that would mean, so I actually did plan my novel, but it wasn't the most effective planning. So that sort of goes back to it's not just having a plan, it's also having an effective plan. Because I didn't have an effective plan, my novel has taken me a lot longer to write than it should have. That's one of the reasons. It's also because of procrastination. So my novel has to take, and because I haven't been able to, publish my novel and sell my novel, then that's like it's delaying the success of the novel, or the potential success of the novel, I should say. So making plans is very important. I think sometimes we're not in the state of the mind. One of the reasons why I didn't make plans, I think I always had like plans, like goals and plans that I had in my head that I wanted to do when I was older, but I never planned it properly. And this is the thing, you can say, oh, I have my life plans to get married, to get a really good job and to live in a big house and stuff like that, just as random examples. But because we don't plan effectively, we don't plan the little steps to getting that big house or getting that dream wedding or whatever it is that you want to do, or maybe you want to become a politician or a pop star or something like that, and you don't really have you need to make just using those examples, you need to make a plan. And I'm giving those examples because I didn't plan the video, because I'm just rambling on. This is why we need a plan. And I guess this is sort of ironic, because if I had planned this video, I wouldn't procrastinate on making it, and I would just have done it. Like, this is taking me a really long time to make this video. It's actually like I started filming at 3:30 or something like that. Now it's getting dark. What is very hard. We are heading into winter, and now I'm procrastinating by talking about random stuff. So yeah, that I think not having a plan can definitely hinder on success. But again, some people like to go with the flow, and maybe going with the flow is the way some people find success. But I do think for most people, I think you do need a plan, and the sooner the better. You don't need to plan your whole life, but I do think when you're looking at the next 5 years or the next 10 years, heck, just even 1 year, I think it's important to plan, which I do actually do plans. If you don't know, I do monthly plans of what I want to do. But I think I even with that, I need to be more effective. So it's not just having a plan, it's having an effective plan, and just talking it out with other people before you move on, before you start. Does this plan make sense? How can we get? Is this plan actually going to get me to where I need to go? and that sort of thing. So I think planning is very important, and that's one of the life lessons I've learned, that effective planning is very important. The last thing I wanted to talk about is a lack of discipline. So discipline is something that it's more of an everyday concept rather than like a sort of a macro concept, like making a plan. Making a plan is. I'm also talking about like everyday things, like having a discipline to eat healthy, or having a discipline to not eat unhealthy foods, or having discipline to wake up every day at a certain time and go to the gym. Just an example. Or being disciplined not to get distracted. And I think distraction's a whole other thing we could get into. But for now, I just want to focus on discipline. So discipline is something I really struggle with. And I think the word discipline has a bit of a negative connotation to it, because when we think of discipline, it's actually something I talk about in my novel. It's sort of a theme, just because it's set in like a school, so the whole thing of disciplinary action is a sort of a theme in my novel. When we think about discipline, I think out of a school context for adults, we don't really have that. We don't have the teacher telling us what to do anymore. We don't have a teacher holding us accountable anymore. And I think when we don't really have, I think discipline is difficult when we don't have that accountability. Or I suppose you could argue that disciplinary means you don't really need accountability, because discipline. Like, there's an argument to be made that discipline. If you're disciplined, you don't need like accountability. But I do think accountability can build up to discipline. Being disciplined, disciplinary for me is something I really struggle with. A lot of people talk about motivation, but I think disciplinary or disciplinary, or whatever you want. I'm not sure what the noun is. But I think having a disciplinary mindset is a more effective tool than motivation. So disciplinary, as I said before, is something I really struggle with, but I really want to get into it, because just from my perspective, it kind of seems like a lot of people who have been successful are also very disciplined, and it's a tool that I want to home in on. So if you know any tips about disciplinary, please let me know. So just to sum up the video, there are three main factors that are hindering at my success, but also the success of people generally speaking. So number one was procrastination. Number two was not having an effective plan. Number three was having a lack of discipline. But anyway, if you have any tips or tricks for any of the things that I talked about, please let me know. Also, if you struggle with any of the things, also please let me know in the comment section below. But that is it for episode 2 of Tea Talks. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video for episode 3.